We're going to have a conversation about angled versus unangled armor, because apparently there's a lot of folks that don't understand how this works. And because it's just really fucking cool, we're going to use real guns to demonstrate this. Okay, this is just a piece of 3/16 inch. As you can see, it's not real thick there. Just good old tread plate steel, nothing fancy about it. It's all rusted to shit and back, stuff like that. And we're going to demonstrate with some pretty common calibers the efficacy of angled armor versus unangled armor. Okay, the first test is going to be done against the armor that's pretty flat. Although it's not exactly flat, it's slightly angled. You get the idea what I'm talking about. The point's going to be made for guys that are running like Tigers and other tanks with flat armor, yeah, that all the time whining about getting pinned by other tanks and stuff like that, about how angled armor is so much more effective, which is why the Germans learned from that. We're going to give you an example of this, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot it with a standard .223 round. All right, as you can see, there's a standard .223, standard .223 rounds. They're not green tips or anything like that, and we'll dispel that fucking myth again here in a second too. We'll kill two birds with one stone, but they're going to be shot out of a Remington ACR against that piece of plate steel, and you'll see where it's at from here. As you can see, we're only about 15, maybe 20 yards away from that. It's not all that far, so it really, velocity overmatch isn't going to be a big deal here.
And roll them.
All right, you see us still standard full metal jackets. Not trying to pull any shenanigans here. Get my ears on because it's real fucking loud. Eyes and ears, always be safe when you're shooting. One round, .223, range is hot. Okay, so we're going to walk down range and you're going to see the efficacy of what is essentially flat armor, okay? And you'll see what the difference is and why you keep getting pinned by stuff. As you can see, the .223 caliber went completely through it. You know, you see a little hole behind it. And this is the same piece of steel. You see it's only got one hole in it, right there, okay? And that's what flat armor, that's how flat armor reacts to what's essentially a velocity overmatch, okay? Okay, same piece of steel we've got here, but what we've done is we've placed it at a pretty steep angle here. I'm not exactly sure what the angle is because, well, we're a bunch of rednecks and we don't worry about shit like math and stuff like that. But we do have an angle down rather than up because we don't want our bullets going to God knows where and hurting people, okay? So I'm going to show you how it's set up. As you can see, it's set up at a pretty steep angle, sort of like the reverse of what you'd see on the front of a Panther or one of those other tanks with those crazy, real bouncy armor like an E75 or E50M. And you can see this is the same piece of steel. There's that one hole we put in a while ago. And you can see that round will bounce down and into the dirt, okay? Okay. Same thing, .223 rounds, no green tips. Same rifle. All right, so we're going up here and we're looking, and we're gonna see that right there. And what that right there is, ladies and germs, is a ricochet. You can see where that round hit right there. It hit right there and it just fucking splattered. Okay, that's why angled armor is better than regular armor. Better than flat armor. I'll spit it out in a second. So you ask, what about APCR ammo and stuff like that? Well, the closest thing I can do is I do have some green tip penetrators, and if you know that the round will go through it at the full metal jacket, the green tip penetrators will certainly go through it because it's a little bit hotter round and it does have the little small steel penetrator in it. However, it is not armor piercing ammo. But to dispel that myth, to keep all you guys happy, I'm going to shoot a round into it so you'll see what I'm talking about. As you can see, these are standard M885 green tip penetrators. I believe they're 62 grains. I could be mistaken, I'm not sure, but get out here in the light where you can actually see them. That's what they are. And we're going to fire one at that angle steel. You can see that I set the angle back up just like what it was a while ago. Green tips going in one round. All right, that was the green tip penetrator. We're about to see what sort of massive damage it did to our piece of steel. Yep, nothing. There's no hole in the back of it. There's no miracle. You can see the green tip penetrator hit right there. Did it make a bigger dent? Damn right it did. But it did not penetrate that steel. Now, why did it not penetrate that steel? Well, because it's at a ridiculous angle and it's gonna bounce off, and that's exactly what happened. So, tankers, that's a good example of why angle armor is more effective than flat armor. No matter the thickness. The thickness just amplifies how much more effective it is. I mean, obviously thick angle armor is more effective than thick flat armor. I mean, that's just simple physics I would think of. So anyway, you're welcome for the explanation. See y'all on the battlefield. All right, so just in case y'all were wondering, because we just got through about the penetration rates and stuff like that, but you know, there's a lot of guys out there that like to run derp guns and shit like that. Well, the closest we could come to a derp gun would be a 12 gauge shotgun. And this is a different piece of steel that we were shooting earlier, but we did manage to shoot it with a 12 gauge shotgun slug, so I'm going to show you the damage it did to that. That is the damage of the 12 gauge shotguns on the same piece of steel. So now you can understand a little bit more about why a derp gun that has ridiculously large bore, by the way, that's the slug that hit it, a ridiculously large bore with relatively low muzzle velocity can do so much damage to your tanks in the battlefield. Again, you're welcome for this little bit of education, and y'all have fun and be safe.